Here's Elise. He conjure up here, magic in his boots.
Already the freedom as he flies out to that right-hand side. Ousmane Dembele has gone centrally. Kylian Mbappe finds himself just outside the penalty area.
It's a high looping ball, it's headed away. Paraguay have a man down in the area. Quickly, he's back to his feet. And it will be Diego Gomez. Tries to bring it away through Miguel Almiron. Won back by France quickly.
These are the early moments where Julio Enciso, despite not having that physical presence and dealing with the size and strength and intelligence of this French back line, the challenge is for Gustavo Alvaro to figure out a pragmatic system that gives him the balance and the control defensively, while in transition moments, can they have a little bit of directness, a little bit of verticality, but also understanding the challenge for Julio Enciso to hold the ball up in really important moments to allow his teammates to catch up to him.
Back to French goalkeeper. And play the ball around the back line with. I think his honesty was appreciated in the press conference. How often do we hear managers come out ahead of big games and say, it's just another game, we'll treat it just like any other game? His honesty and his praise for France, he knows where his team stand. It really is a clash of David and Goliath here.
Well, and the understanding that the last time we saw a very similar formation, it was with Miguel Almiron suspended after the hand-to-mouth coverage in the second half heading into Turkey. So today it's a little bit differently, and you think about with Galarza, you think about Miguel Almiron, you think about Julio Enciso and that trifecta up top. How dangerous can they be in transition moments? But the reality is that talent and passion and the idea of they're not supposed to be here, there's a weird pressure when we talk about the idea of performance on an afternoon like this, especially after sending Germany home after penalties in the previous match.
Barkla loses out, and can't bring the ball away. They've been nipping at the heels at times of France. There's a quick touch from Julio Enciso. This plays his football in France. It's Dembele. It's the weighted ball looking towards Michael Elise. It's the Ballon d'Or winner once again. It is frightening, this French front line. And that is exactly why. Boukadine. And out for a corner for France, the first of the game.
And part of the obvious talent level of that man, Kylian Mbappe, how quickly the quick step over the burst, the nutmeg, right through the feet of Diego Gomez. And as important as the challenge of the outside defenders to stay with their runs.
Ball fizzed in, there was pace on it. We picked up, didn't play on the far side, but the ball was already out, deemed by the referee. Kone. Dean. Saliba. And he tries to point his way through and does. And he's stayed down here. Doesn't look comfortable at all. So he has the ball at his feet. What will he do here with one of his teammates still down? And indeed the man came in to replace Tchouameni, owing to the thigh injury of the Real Madrid man. Back to his feet.
Oh, it's evident and clear what he wants the referee to take a look for in that second run coming out of the midfield. Rabiot will have this freedom a little bit more tilted to the left-hand side.
Well, it has been one-way traffic so far. Almost 8 minutes on the clock. Kone. Koundé. It's Meccano. Rabiot. of AC Milan. McConnell teasing the lurch of Leo Enciso. Celes. Enciso. Here's Alon. Playing his football back at Atlanta United. Climbing the Premier League with Newcastle. Dembele. Back Champions League winner with Paris Saint-Germain. They are serial winners in this team. Barcola. There's Mbappe. Koenig. Dembele. It has all been France. Can they find the goal? It's headed up high. Looping back down, there'll continue to be a scramble. Still nothing given by the referee.
It was Cáceres to put a body on Adrien Rabiot, and he immediately looked to the referee in hopes to garner a little bit more of attention.
The emphasis of the ball in, it took a deflection on the way through. It's back to the Aston Villa man's feet. Mbappe.
And again, there'll be a freedom for this French side to figure out ways to interpret space, the opportunity to take advantage of the chances, and right there, a good look at the physicality that, you know, from the opening whistle, Paraguay at times is going to have to rely upon.
Let's go, Paraguay.
Or it's just pure tactics to frustrate the opponents. But this is where Julio Enciso needs more help. He's isolated by himself. There's a good 10 to 15 yards separating him from the three midfielders directly underneath. And that's the unique balance that Paraguay has to find throughout the course of this 90 minutes.
Yeah, he does cut a lone figure. There's Elise. Quick on his feet. There's Dembele. Koenig. He'll be so happy with this, France. Ball over the top. Just a little bit too far ahead of Barcola, who raises one hand in thanks to his teammates.
Well, the challenge of playing flat three in the back is you're really composed about the space and the ideas of responsibility. But it's when those underlying runs or secondary runs popping through the midfield, that's what's going to test this back line. Specific as they try to creep up a little bit further outside of their penalty area. So the challenge, Alon, is to get better pressure on the player that's serving the ball and looking for those fine little margins, trying to split the center backs with secondary runs.
How about this for a stats? 115 passes completed so far for France. And Paraguay have only had 7.
Well, throughout the course of this tournament, Alon, just 31.2% possession for Paraguay, second lowest so far in the 2026 World Cup. As Galarza tips himself in centrally, it's a little bit of a swipe, nothing more, nothing less, but an important set-piece opportunity, something that France has to pay attention to. In the run of play, they're not going to get a lot of chances. They're not going to be as clinical at times as they want, but they certainly have some big bodies on set-piece opportunities and corners that they'll look to rely upon to create goal-scoring opportunities.
Well, they know how to suffer, don't they? Only 25% of the possession against Germany, outshot 21-7, but still found a way through after penalties. Eyes on Alon. The ball's flung in and cleared away, and here's Elise now. Has plenty of space to roam into. Just caught it, touch late, but is back to his feet. Michael Elise. Here's Nukadim. Saliba.
Welcome, guys. Welcome. It's gonna be a tough match.
Arsene Wenger,
What's up, guys? Welcome.
serving as FIFA's chief of global football development since 2019.
Please don't forget to like and subscribe.
Orlando Hill. What a story he has, having to sell his old kit from his time in Paraguay's youth setup to fund care for his child who was born prematurely, and has been a real hero at times for Paraguay this tournament. They have an excellent support in this stadium. It really has carried them such a weight, as Junior Alonso was talking about in the press conference.
No. Not again.
Saliba. Kone now. No. It's Dembele. France have been in control from the get-go. Almost 15 minutes on the clock, still goalless. Barcola, can he change that? Creates the space. Rabiot, Dina, and straight into the palms.
Like what I said, it's going to be a tough match for France.
Again, we've seen balance, we've seen flexibility, and we've seen a certain amount of efficiency in the final third. As important as the weight of the pass and the variation of service is going to be the movement off the ball to try to just upset the spatial awareness for Paraguay. On the flip side, for Gustavo Alfaro, you take away that 4-1 loss in the opening match against the United States. They've conceded just one goal. A 1-0 win against Turkey, 0-0 against Australia, 1-1 against Germany. That forced them to penalties in the 4-3 win in the round of 32. But it really has been results over aesthetics. And since Alvaro took over Paraguay on the backside of Copa America, it's a team that gave up just 7 goals in 13 matches. And points-wise, was as efficient as Argentina in the same time frame.
Well, that's what he said when he joined in 2024 after taking Ecuador to the group stage in 2022. A chance may open up here for Elise. He's pinging around and then is headed away, not completely to safety, although now into the arms of Orlando Hill. He said he wanted to bring Paraguayan DNA, intensity and clean sheets, and they do match France for clean sheets up to this point of the tournament.
Well, as important as the balance defensively in that kind of attacking phase of play. You think about Galarza, you think about Almiron and Julio Enciso, but you also think about the substitution pattern. You think about the chess match in that second 45 minutes, more specifically around the hour mark.
All over the top. Stretching. Couldn't quite get there. Kylian Mbappe.
Well, his intelligence with his movement and how quickly they link up and over the top, verticality and just out of the reach. As Kylian Mbappe, one of the most explosive players, creating space against virtually any center back that he comes up against.
Well, it's so interesting watching him in the warm-up. He was talking to his teammates at every opportunity, and you felt like they were words that were certainly inspired. He's a man who's been there, done it, and has the trophy cabinet from the individual awards, of course, as well as the World Cup to boot. Here's Elise. That's the corner. Second of the game. Taken quickly. Dembele. They have been so confined so far. Here's Lonzo.
Oh, 18 minutes in, first time we've seen Paraguay string together 4 or 5 passes and alleviate some of the early incessant pressure that we've seen from France the moment that they turn the ball over and are looking to recover higher up the field. For Didier Deschamps, there's always going to be an emphasis on trying to recover the ball as quickly as possible in the attacking phase of the game to minimize the distance between themselves and the opponent's goals.
Early yellow card.
Yellow card for Barcola.
In the way of Bradley Barcola.
Cáceres comes together, and Barcola, he's not trying to get a piece of him, but he does swing through, and the bar's been set early from the referee in terms of challenges and what is worthy of a yellow card.
I have potential to get there. Another.
Caceres now back to his feet.
The dictator.
He's not happy with that decision for the Deschamps.
It also goes back to that mentality of back in the day. The first challenge was never worthy of a yellow card, but the game has changed and the modern refereeing is taking a different approach. And in games as massive with the magnitude of these two battling for a place in Foxborough on July 9th, you have to understand that there is a gray area that you can operate in, and some referees are going to allow the game to find its own rhythm. Dantashev has made an early statement less than 20 minutes in.
What do you think about?
A slight move of the ball there for Miguel Almiron.
Oh, well, they don't like him.
Ball
As
long,
the
looking
first
for Diego Gomez. Back in the starting lineup after the suspension against Germany. Still goalless, 20 minutes on the clock. In the upper levels of the Philadelphia Stadium, there is a huge crowd of French fans who are bouncing. They're to their feet, trying to encourage their team. It's been a commanding performance so far in terms of the possession. All very one-sided in way of France. Still yet to see the opening goal.
You always
37 degrees Celsius is the temperature. This the hottest recorded World Cup match in history.
I don't know why.
Clever positioning from Miguel Almiron and Caceres. Caceres, who previously spent time in the Boca Juniors Academy. Lurking is Enciso. He does battle for every ball as Paraguay looks at fashion a chance, but it quickly fizzles out.
Oh, an excellent job from Julio Enciso right there as he goes to ground. He lays himself off. He gets a toe poke, and the idea of trying to keep possession with quick combination, finding Galarza.
Dembele. Kone steps up, has a look for goal himself. Orlando Hilstead rooted to the spot.
Yeah, and the wonder for Hill how much he saw that, or if his sightline was a bit manipulated by the players in front of him. Take a look from the referee view, the turn, maybe less preferred left foot, heavy deflection on the way in off Gustavo Gomez, and out for another corner in this first half for France.
And that was the longest wait this World Cup for a shot. As the ball's fizzed in with power from Dembele. Dean Dembele. 20 minutes we had to wait without a shot, and the wait is over. The wait for a goal does continue. Kone. There's Rabiot. Floated ball just headed out the path of Dembele, and it will go out for another corner. It's France's fourth of the game.
Well, France is doing an incredible job the moment that ball is in play in terms of competition in the attacking phase. Just challenging for the first ball. More importantly, Alon winning the second ball continuously.
Well, the pressure mounting and mounting. Dembele, high-looping ball looking to the back post where Mbappe was waiting, and that will be that for the first period of the game.
It's water break now.
23 minutes on the clock.
Guys,
We
what
are
do you
still
think
waiting
about
for the
match?
first goal between France and Paraguay as the players
Please don't forget to
break
like
for their hydration, which today at
and share
37
this
degrees Celsius is
stream.
much needed.
So follow me.
If I eat poulet rouge every day and change like one topping each time, how long would it take to taste everything? Centuries?
Safer Ontario means playgrounds with no drug injection sites nearby. It means fewer cars being stolen thanks to more police officers and prosecutors. New jails so criminals stay behind bars. Public spaces without encampments. And bail reform that protects our neighborhoods. We're making every corner of Ontario safer to make all of Ontario safer. That's how we protect Ontario.
Lovely skill to get out of a tight situation, and now a powerful run forward. Just look at the way he turns the defender and gets away. He just couldn't quite get hold of that one. What an occasion. What drama here for these fans to witness. There's the strike into the bottom corner. It's a goal.
Yeah, I can't share screen right now. I'm clicking it and everything. I got you. Thank you. Thank you, Dennis. Sorry, am I muted?
We also deliver.
Perfect, perfect.
I've had a handful of runs forward, breaking out of their own half, but unable to create anything really of use. And as much as France have had the possession, it was just before that hydration break that we saw our first shot of the game. Well, it would have taken something massive from Paraguay to have this set of players etch their name in history in the manner that the squad of 2010 did. They said they don't want to reflect too much on how they can try and better that performance, but instead embrace it. Members of the squad visiting the camp, and the head coach, Gustavo Altaro, saying how grateful he was to see his players inspired by a generation that meant so much to them. And this is, of course, Brian, we must say as well, a new generation, because it is 16 years since they last appeared at a World Cup.
It's a new generation, but again, I think when we talk about the talent, we talk about the passion, we talk about the idea that they're not supposed to be here after what they did against Germany in round of 32. That the idea then is to go out, represent the crest, represent yourself, represent your family, and understand that you're also representing the nation.
Oh, just look at that football recovery zone. 11 seconds, they're so sharp, and they do hunt in packs. And indeed, attack with great numbers, but they've lost out there to Miguel Alon. Head down is striding forward, no one yet to join him. And Ciso not yet clicking through the gears in terms of pace, but now he may join him. Alon. Headed away by Honde. One back. What can Paraguay do here? The chance may open up. It pings off the boots of Upamecano and then sent out wide. Yes, Diego Gomez hangs his head.
Well, France defensively would be okay with the shot from distance from Junior Alonso as he interprets when he has to get that shot off. But the secondary shot, they'll just want better pressure and trying to close down as that ball really squeaked through and found Diego Gomez.
Desperately trying to control the ball with his head. Javi Barcola finds himself on a yellow card.
Well, right underneath us, Gustavo Alfaro is having a conversation with Miguel Almiron and giving the body language and the hand signals to Julio Enciso. Just trying to figure out the right spacing between those two players, specifically down this right-hand side. For Didier Deschamps, there's a certain amount of trust with the understanding that, yes, you're almost 30 minutes into this match, but this group has earned the freedom to find the rhythm of the game, especially against a team that is going to play so significantly low with their defending blocks of 5 and 4 in front of them.
Here's Dembele against Alonso. Dembele, Olise. Under pressure, Dembele. The ball pings around and almost trickles past Orlando Hill. Saliba. Rabiot. Barcola. Alon goes down, nothing given. And now play will be stopped.
Well, as Miguel Almiron comes across, he gets the kick from the back of the legs from Barcola. Landing gear comes up, he goes to ground. And as that ball squeaked away, a heavy challenge from Cubas on Rabiot. Here's another look. And the idea of the deflection in a dangerous spot. As a defender, you hate facing your own goalkeeper. In moments like this, just because the redirect can have such huge consequential effects.
Cubas, nicknamed El Motorcito. And he kept running and running, didn't he, through the clash with Germany. Gomez just about reaching the ball. That was snatched from French possession once again. No, it won't. A foul. And it will be Saliba who gets us back underway.
Well, virtually every build-up has come down this right-hand side, but we continue to see Matias Galarza flare in centrally and underneath to try to overload that midfield.
Makelele watching on, of course, 2006 World Cup runner-up with France. So played with Didier Deschamps. Career Deschamps has had. Olise. Dembele tees something up there. The header almost there from Kylian Mbappe. Was in a perfect position. Just couldn't quite connect.
And it looked like it might have been Velasquez who comes through, check from the back shoulder, and oh, it's Diego Gomez. Just a little bit of a bump at the last second. In moments like that, in a recovery defensive phase, you're just trying to offset the attacking player, get a body on him, maybe throw his weight, his central port of balance just a little bit off. But again, the variation of service and the constant link-up between Kylian Mbappe and Ousmane Dembele.
Siso can't find a way past Upamecano. He said France are like a thunderstorm. You need to know how to dodge those lightning bolts coming towards your goal. I'm able to do so thus far, although admittedly with just one attempt. France haven't thrown too much the way of Paraguay in terms of what would have expected so far with almost 32 minutes on the clock, Brian.
Based on what we saw last night, Argentina against Cape Verde, and anytime you're coming up against a team that has that low block, has that self-belief, has that grittiness, has that tactical acumen to close the space and make things incredibly difficult, the challenge is to get the goal as early as possible. And more specifically, before the halftime break. Because as the confidence continues to grow, there's a swagger that comes along with that and a belief that, again, you would withstand all the chances generated from the opponent.
Rabiot goes from distance and flies into the crowd.
And defensively, Paraguay will feel much more comfortable with shots from that distance than they will with the variation of service that we've seen from Dembele coming down that right-hand side, trying to combine with either Mbappe or with Michael Olise. So with no immediate pressure whatsoever, you can see the idea. He just can't keep it on frame.
It's only been the front line from France who have scored so far this tournament. No one behind has hit the back of the net, although Rabiot did provide an assist against Senegal.
Well, there's nothing more frustrating as a center back when a smaller attacking player leans into you. You feel as though you've done nothing wrong, but then you can see that arm on the right shoulder, and Ciso throws his arms out in disgust and simply draws the attention from the referee. But a dangerous spot, similar to the first chance. And we'll see if Paraguay does what they did the first time around, asking two players to stand near the penalty spot while the high line defensively is just outside the 18-yard box, looking to anticipate their first step defensively.
It's a floating ball from Hugo Gomez and into the arms of its goalkeeper, although quick to try and just dissolve any tensions. The referee sprinting over.
Well, you can tell the idea for Velasquez, just keep Magnon down on the ground as quickly as possible and make sure defensively his group is in a recovery run.
There's Rabiot. Dean. Mbappe tries to wrestle his way free, looks away the referee, and well, there's a handful of pushes there, and quick to react was the referee, but now he's in the middle of a large scuffle here, and even the goalkeeper has come over just to diffuse things, and that is somewhat helped from Orlando Hill, who was quick off his line to just calm things down. And the temperature's rising, of course, down on the pitch. Evident frustrations from both sets of players.
Well, as long as they stay in that gray area, they've got to find the right balance of discipline and grittiness within the urgency of dealing with this attack. For Kylian Mbappe, he gets away from Kubas, he rides the challenge, he certainly earns the foul. But then in frustration, he doesn't like two hands to his chest. He responds with two hands to his own, and that's where the hands and the Paraguayan players start to get involved immediately. It's all giggles, smiles, and handshakes now. But again, there's a combative nature that you've got to find that unique sense of balance for these two teams.
So everyone happy, maybe apart from Elise, who is trying to figure out where to place this ball. His arms still raised. And it is Elise. Floating ball and not cleared. Now it is. Headed over the top. That wasn't too far away. And they survive for now, Paraguay. But it is. Dembele stood over the corner. It's a high looping ball this time, looking towards the back post. The strike is bouncing and straight into the arms of Orlando Hill.
Well, France is wasting no time whatsoever. The moment they're awarded a corner, Dembele or Mbappe have both sprinted to get on the ball as quickly as possible. Jules Koundé from distance, less preferred left foot, keeps it on frame, looking for a slight touch, and easily handled by the goalkeeper.
And it is the first shot that we've had on target of the game, coming from a man who has no international goals and 53 caps for his country.
That's a great recovery run from Kubas. The defensive midfielder recognizes danger, sits backside. He's got an eye on Ousmane Dembele, and then harmlessly up and over and around the goal.
Inside the final 10 minutes of regulation time in the first half, you wonder if Didier Deschamps is left scratching his head just slightly. 3 attempts France have had, just 1 on target. He knew this would be an attritional clash, with the heat playing more than its role. Here's the man who's just had a shot saved. Here's Koundé out wide to Dembele. There is space to operate around this Paraguayan back line. The ball fed in, but watched very closely and cleared away only as far as Saliba, who's of course able to guide it back to his goalkeeper, and they tease the ball as Ciso continues to run and run. And you don't want to be doing that too early in this game, but at least he has the benefit of the shade on this near side.
Let's go. Run.
So play continues with Enciso down.
Oh.
He's stayed down, but it's Almiron who has the ball at his feet. Ciso now back to his feet, but making any attempts to find his way back into the action as the ball's taken out to the corner flag, and it will be a goal kick. Here's Dembele. Mbappe's gone down. Off the ball challenge, and well, very quickly over to plead France's case is Dembele.
Well, it's Galarza as he comes across that Mbappe. He's making this run. He's trying to get in front. It's a right arm that comes up. Take another look if it's anything more malicious. He swipes down on the left arm. Nowhere near the face, but then as the ball rolls across, Ousmane Dembele is isolated 1v1. He's looking for just that little window, something that he's so comfortable in. Far post side net, over and over, replicating similar goals throughout his career.
Well, it's been deemed arm-to-arm contact. And we have 2 balls on the pitch, so we will just have a slight delay to this corner being taken by Ousmane Dembele. Can France work their magic here? Dembele, power on the delivery.
Again, Mbappe, as he tries to get away from the defender, Velasquez, he goes inside, he goes outside, he feels as though he's been fouled. You can see the arm draped across, and the moment he feels that contact, he's trying to signify to the referee that there's something to take a closer look. But again, whether it's the verbal barrage, whether it's just the presence and the touches, right now Paraguay is making it very clear and evident that they're going to do everything in their power to upset any rhythm France can potentially create in these dying moments of the first half.
There is Paraguay. We're trying to create something there, and so not happy to hear the whistle blow.
Well, 2 very different styles of football and how to interpret the game. For France, they're trying to have the cause and effect with the ball at their feet and the movement in the attacking phase of play. For Paraguay, they're doing everything in their power to keep the compactness across this back line of 5, with allowing Cubas to be the destroyer, the pivoting player in front of that back line, and most importantly, Alon, getting to the halftime break without conceding that opening goal.
Koundé chasing. Paraguay concede another corner. 7 now France have had. Alvarez sent the ball out, and change of the taker with Elise coming over to take this in swinging kick. Both arms held high. Michael Elise, high looping ball. For Koundé once again. Kone. Dina. Luka Dean's ball back into the grasp of Orlando Hill.
Well, the spatial awareness from the 3 center backs has been outstanding in this first half for Paraguay.
Well, they needed to be such a boost to have
bullshit
back in the squad.
That's the 3rd or 4th time Julian Enciso has gone down under the challenge of William Saliba right near the midway mark, and he continues to pop up, and he's not catching the attention of the referee. He looks at the 4th official with arms wide open, asking for a foul to be called in his favor.
Very one-sided momentum. France in the driving seats, but yet to find the opening goal. Elise as we approach the break. Dembele to Elise.
Bro, look at them. There's 2 players come to Dembele, Elise, Mbappe. They can do nothing. Nothing.
Loses out, but it will be a throw for France.
Oh, it's so smart the movement on that right-hand side as Koundé overloads at times. The moment that he finds Dembele's feet, that then allows him to step in a little bit more centrally. Michael Elise has the freedom to make it a 3 versus 2 or a 3 versus 3 overload opportunity in terms of possession. But again, a majority of that buildup has been down this right-hand side as Mbappe continues to drop deeper into this midfield just to try to make this back line think about if they want to step a little bit higher.
Koenig. That's a look. It's wide. Nothing really there to threaten.
Winning these second balls and finding those little cracks of daylight. But it'll be really fascinating to see what adjustments are made at halftime and how earlier Didier Deschamps thinks about so many options he has at his availability coming off the bench.
Oh, that goal kick for Paraguay. They taken an average of over a minute, 62 seconds to take their goal kicks, whereas France just 5 seconds it's taken for Magnon to launch his team back towards the Paraguay goal. And where, thus far, they have had little success. 4 attempts. Fast approaching the break, and they find the opener. It's Dembele. He's been marked on either side, isn't he?
Oh, look at Dembele.
He's been closed on him.
Nothing. The 2 players complain.
Palazzo just there and lurking. And such a best of himself to France. And here come Paraguay. Enciso on the shot. Up to Meccano.
Yeah, it was too early. It was too early from Cubas. He did such an amazing job winning that initial 50-50 challenge with Kone that he's just trying to reward Enciso with that little bit of an angle. He's got away from Saliba, but he never had the accuracy, the weight of the pass, nor the pace to beat the intelligence of the movement from Upamecano.
Expecting just 3 minutes of additional time at the end of this first half. Still goalless between France and Paraguay. Paraguay, the underdog story of the tournament so far, as Rabiot tries to launch a shot towards Orlando Hill. Once again, can't find a way through.
And one of the few times we've seen Bradley Barcola in more of that hybrid of a central attacking striker position. That was a fantastic ball from Upamecano. Breaks through the lines, goes all the way to the front. The 2 center backs try to apply the pressure, and they're looking for a quick little layoff to one of the central midfielders.
Barcola. Kone. He's Enciso. Away past Upamecano. That's the pace to burn, despite doing so much running already. Enciso loses out, and it will go down as a throw for France, but he didn't realise he was geeing up the crowd. Didn't realise that the throw had gone against him.
Well, he's doing everything possible in that moment. Listen, defensively, that's a phenomenal touch right there from Upamecano. And it's the correct call from the referee. But Julio Enciso, the man that has led with goal contributions, a goal and 2 assists in these matches. 12 successful 1v1s. That's 3rd best out of all the players in the World Cup so far. And he's got that heart and determination, despite having 0 support virtually underneath him and behind him, to run at 2 to potentially 3 defenders for France to just see if he could sniff out a goal-scoring opportunity.
This front line floating. They desperately try and find a way past Paraguay before the break. Luca Dean.
Oh, and Ellen, we went all the way back to the game against Australia, where it was a hybrid of 5 in the back. It was more of a 5-3-2 in the 0-0 draw. This one's different. And the inclusion of Miggy Almiron, because he was out with suspension after the red card suffered against Turkey for covering his mouth, the first we'd seen in a FIFA World Cup specific to 2026. But now Gustavo Alfaro set himself up defensively, pragmatic, keep the game in front of him, get to the halftime whistle without conceding a goal, and give yourself a couple of opportunities in transition moments to cause some problems. But with Avalos, thinking about Arce, Mauricio, Sanabria, plenty of options to change the complexion of this group in the second half.
The chip from Rabiot wasn't watched by anyone in blue. As the clock ticks down, 30 seconds, or just under, left of additional time. Well, they're happy, and you can understand why. The dreamers of the tournament, as things stand, holding the title favourites. But will that change? Because here, from France. Will roll forward. It's a clever flick, but no one there to meet it, and that will be that for the first half. A first half controlled by France, but it will be Paraguay who will be the happier of the two sides as they break.
Let's go.
The French captain that he would have wanted
That
in
was
the
a
game.
boring half.
38 places separate the two sides, but it is half-time here at Philadelphia. Paraguay 0.
Let's see what happened
France
second.
0.
Let's take a break and
1 + 1 = more of the greatest stories. Hulu on Disney Plus. Stories about
survivors. Pablo Escobar.
The most dangerous planet.
Murder.
Prophecy.
Beer and propane.
Dawn of a new era.
Dodging death. The Premier League.
Whatever it takes.
Power, faith, and love.
Where do you hail from? Canada.
best of the best stories now with even more from Hulu.
Amazing.
Have it all with Hulu on Disney Plus.
Do you call it soccer, or do you call it football?
Really?
You're right, who gives a... It doesn't matter what you call it. 90 minutes is what matters. The odds matter. The next goal. The same game parlay. When you bet matters. Soccer or football? Move on. Because the beautiful game has a million shifting factors. Canada's premier betting destination for the world's game. Bet with Sports Interaction.
Should be a very interesting match. Players are set to take the field, and Canada is fired up. Is there a touch? Penalty. That is a massive decision.
Yo, Dane.
Yo, JD, you see my text? They haven't lost. These guys are unbelievable.
They haven't lost?
Since 96.
Haven't lost yet.
Come with me.
You know I can't.
Hey Google, what's the fastest way to the pier?
Welcome to your Coca-Cola halftime, where we take a look at your first half stats. No shots on target by either side through 45 minutes, despite France dominating possession. And interesting enough, Paraguay have delayed their goal kicks by an average of 62 seconds in this match. By comparison, France taking around 5 seconds. Well, hundreds of fans are here in Jackpool Plaza, Vancouver, taking in the action on what is a beautiful Saturday as we kick off the round of 16. And say hello once again, Canada. Lindsay Hamilton back alongside your Canadian internationals, Terry Dunfield, Claire Rustad, and Toast St. Ricketts. All right, well, we talked about how this was being referred to as David versus Goliath, but if yesterday's match between Argentina and Cabo Verde taught us anything, is that you never know what the World Cup will deliver. Toss, we are seeing two very different styles of football in play here, but Paraguay, one of the few teams this tournament who've been able to slow France down. How are they doing it?
They're sticking to what they do best. You know, this is their identity. This is what got them the result against Germany, and it's working. You know, Alfaro is going to be happy. This team is going to be happy going into the half, and they've been suffering, but they've been resilient. You know, they've had 10 tackles, 10 interceptions. You know, they're doing everything to prevent that French attack from getting space, getting opportunities, and it's forcing, you know, Elise and Mbappe to roam around Claire, find different positions on the pitch to try to get the ball and try to create something.
Yeah, Paraguay's been extraordinarily compact in that back four and that the back five and the midfield four. The lines on the pitch, you can see the way that the grass is mowed. That's 6 yards. They're maintaining almost zero space in there for Elise to play. What that's resulting in is Elise has been dropping in quite deep. At times, he's been closer to his own goal than Paraguay's striker in Ciso. He's having to pull in really, really deep to try to pick up the ball. It's destroying that interchange that he often has with Mbappe. He's just not being able to find those little sliding passes in behind.
And Terry, you have to remind yourself, credit where credit is due. Paraguay took down some giants on their way here. That includes an upset of Germany. But France has also been able to find some space wide, and they need to use that to their advantage moving forward, don't they?
Yeah, I think that's the space Paraguay's happy to give up right now. And it's almost a little bit like Didier Deschamps and this France team is a bit surprised by this back five. The attacks have been a little bit random, and they've tried to exploit space wide. There's been some 1v1s. There's been crosses at times. When crosses have come into the box, there's maybe been one runner in the box. There hasn't been multiple runners in the box. We haven't seen that fluidity wide where you see those nice triangles of three players kind of getting in behind the wide center backs. Yep. And I think, Lindsay, you said right off the top, this Paraguay wall has just really slowed down this France attack. And I think halftime comes at the right time for France, where they need to just move this block around a little bit, start to create little time edges, and add speed to their attack toss.
Yeah, just more movement. You know, the way to break down a deep block is to get runs from the midfield. You've seen Rabiot, he's done it a couple times, and also taken shots to, you know, kind of force them out of that block. But then it takes individual brilliance. It takes, you know, beating a man 1v1 and creating a chance, which we know this French side can do. We've seen Mbappe do it. We've seen Dembele do it. Olise can pick out those passes, but it's going to take more movement and more fluidity around that front three.
And they have to switch the point of the attack much quicker. Back and forth as quickly as you can. That's how you break down a low block. France just hasn't seemed as threatening from outside the area either. I mean, throughout this tournament, that's been one of the most dangerous things they do. Cut back onto your strongest foot. Dembele, every time, onto his left foot, scored 2 goals against Norway that way. And they just haven't seemed as threatening. The shots from outside the 18-yard box have felt speculative. They just haven't seemed to be able to find that rhythm. And I think a huge part of that is because Elise just doesn't have that little office between the midfield 4 and the back 5 to work in.
Maybe Ryan Shirky.
Maybe.
I think so.
Doué as well.
Yeah.
But if any team can break it down,
yeah,
it's France.
For sure. Well, another storyline we're keeping an eye on in this match is the heat. 37 degrees in Philadelphia. So you have to ask, could that perhaps help Paraguay? The third World Cup meeting between these two teams. France did win the previous 2, but it is 0-0 at the half. France entered having scored at least 3 goals in all 4 of their matches in this World Cup. Our World Cup coverage continues after the break.
It's back and more delicious than ever. A crispy chicken sandwich made with
bun, chicken, lettuce, mayo, bun, chicken, lettuce, mayo, bun, chicken, lettuce, mayo, bun, chicken, lettuce, mayo.
Tim's crispy chicken sandwich, a new take on an old fave.
If you're looking for the future of football, it's gonna be me. Capaz que no sabe quién soy todavía, pero pronto lo vas a saber.
That's cute. I'm gonna be so big, I won't even be able to walk down the street.
The future is already here. Next starts now.
No tripping. Yes, sipping. No fouls. Yes, foul. No frills. Yes, sings.
And for Canada, BMO.
After 20 years of supporting the game, we're actually going to play in one. Let's go! So what do you need? Precision striker, rock-solid left back?
We need a coin.
For the coin toss? Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, I get... Can I at least flip it? Heads or tails? I'll do that. We're on TV right now. Yeah.
We are deep into stoppage time. Oh, they must be careful here. But hang on, they are checking it. It's going to be in the hands of the VAR.
The round of 16 continues tomorrow. A heavyweight tilt between Brazil and Norway. Norway, the only team Brazil has faced but never beaten. The fifth all-time meeting between these two sides. Norway's 1-2, drawn 2. We got this for you Sunday, 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. Meanwhile, right now on TSN.ca and the TSN app, we've got even more World Cup news, highlights, and reaction from across the tournament, including the fallout from Canada's elimination following their loss to Morocco earlier today. Don't miss a moment of the action. Keep up to date with your favorite teams, TSN.ca and the TSN app. Places separate the sides in the FIFA rankings, but we are tied 0-0 at the break. Your second half kick coming up after the break.
There's dreaming about it, and then there's experiencing it with Amex Platinum. The trip you imagined becomes unimaginably real. You're seated at the hottest table in town. And just like that, you've scored access to pre-sale tickets, and you're singing every word. For a life like no other, you need a card like no other. There's nothing like Amex.
Is David's backyard ready for the FIFA World Cup? Maybe he'll build it, like Beckham. Brilliant move here. David's going to the Home Depot for the assist. David can flip it like Rich. Paint it like Patricia. Deliver it like Dan.
My beehives. This is so relaxing.
Plant it like Patrick.
Or watch it all happen just like Josh.
Very happy to help.
It's back and more delicious than ever. A crispy chicken sandwich made with
Bun chicken, lettuce, mayo, bun chicken, lettuce, mayo, bun chicken, lettuce, mayo, bun chicken, lettuce, mayo.
Tim's crispy chicken sandwich. A new take on an old fave.
If football were a nation,
elle serait la plus grande du monde. Si el fútbol fuera un idioma.
بتردد فضاها في كل ركن من أركان الأرض.
Não importa onde estejas.
No matter who you are. Si te apasiona el fútbol, perteneces to the biggest team on the planet.
El fútbol une el mundo.
football unites the world.
The round of 16 is in full swing, and France and Paraguay 0-0 as we enter the second half. I mentioned it's 37 degrees in Philadelphia. Claire, do you think that could perhaps help Paraguay in this match?
Yeah, I think France does really well when the tempo of the match is high and when they can dictate the pace of the game with another team. And when you have an external factor like the heat or humidity or altitude, we've seen that in other matches in the tournament, and the pace of the game slows down, that favors the team that's defending in a low block and trying to wait the game out.
And Terry, something we also saw in the first half is a term Kev likes to refer to as shenanigans. Do you think that is perhaps playing into Paraguay's hands right now?
I think so. I think the frustration we've seen from Mbappe and France is a nice KPI toss that things are tracking well for Paraguay.
Yeah, and that's what Paraguay does. They like to create chaos. They like to get, those last-ditch tackles in, and they like to get the body in and really throw the players off their game. But ultimately, they're disciplined, they're compact, and they stick to their shape and their identity.
And it really is a fine balance, too. France have to stand up for themselves in that moment and can't let Paraguay walk all over them. But they have to focus on number one, Linz. How do you break down this Paraguay team?
That is the goal of Kylian Mbappe and France. A reminder, France had entered having scored at least 3 goals in all 4 of their matches at this World Cup, but it is 0-0 as we enter the second half. Let's take you back to Philadelphia now. Ella Ellard and Brian Dunseth on the call.
Well, it's been quite the party here in Philadelphia, as the masses who have flocked to the stadium celebrate the United States of America's 250th birthday. 4th of July today across America, and such a big milestone in their history. Paraguay looking to mark a milestone of their own. They reached the quarterfinals in 2010. They were knocked out by Spain. It has always been a European team that has ended Paraguay's World Cup dreams whenever they've progressed to the knockout stages. Will it be France today? Or will
Let's go.
Run for Paraguay continue?
Second half.
So the countdown is back on for the start of the second half, and now the majority of the field here in Philadelphia shrouded in shade, which will be much to the delight of Paraguay in particular, who get us underway through Julio Enciso, who did a lot of running in the first half, Brian Dunseth, and well, they'll be delighted to see that shade creeping its way across the ground.
And the idea for Paraguay continues, its team commitment defensively. It's really trying to strangle the passing lanes. But can they be more progressive when they get into the attacking phase of play and have better support for Julio Enciso and Miggy Almiron? For France, it's rare that they're going to face a high line to be able to use that verticality to get in. So a lot of this is going to be rotation and running off the ball with variation of service, either early and deep or getting down to the end line for cutback balls.
Well, free kick has been given the way of Paraguay, with Miguel Almiron down on the ground. Second only to Julio Enciso in chances created for his nation this World Cup. Well, he was full of praise for France in the press conference. You can understand why. He's said this is a huge clash against the world's #1 side. And they've kept them quiet in terms of action in front of goal through the first 45 minutes. And have an attacking free kick early in this second half. Floats forward. Elise gets a touch. Upamecano. Koundé. Dembele. Well, any eagle-eyed of you watching on will notice that Ousmane Dembele has changed his boots for this second half. He was wearing innocent green boots, at least that's what I think from up here, and now he's switched to the pink to move more in line with the majority of his teammates. Here's Koné back on the ball once again. This is better from France, trying to force a way through, quickly pounced upon by the back line of Paraguay though. Just those early moments of France showing exactly what they can do, Brian.
Well, not just Ousmane Dembele, also Michael Elise going to the white boots, getting away from the blue boots. Listen, as a player, sometimes when you don't feel like things have gone well in the first half, you're just looking for that little bit of change. And sometimes it's not physical,
look
it's
at
just
Elise.
psychological.
He can do nothing.
Koenig. Well, he has been one that's caused attention with his boots this tournament. Michael Elise, not just his footwork inside of them. Koenig. Here's Rabiot, had a couple of good opportunities and goes again. But fires into a crowd of French fans behind the goal.
Oh, he's begging the referee that there was a touch on the way through. As he comes, second time we've seen from distance, similar distance than we saw in the first 45 minutes, up and over the crossbar. And the frustration for Didier Deschamps not testing the goalkeeper's hands.
We didn't see too much emotion from Didier Deschamps midway through the first half, and his press conference was certainly no nonsense yesterday. Given away far too easily. What can Paraguay do here? It's sent out for a corner. And of course it had to be Alon.
Which just goes to show you the importance for Paraguay to have somebody off the shoulder of Julio Enciso. As that ball comes down, Upamecano elects to play it with his chest. As the ball gets away, Miguel Almiron, he thrusts into space, and with that dominant left foot, he's looking for a half chance. And that time, it's the outside of his left foot to see if he can test the goalkeeper and earn himself a corner.
So just a first corner of the game for Paraguay. That's is making his feelings known to the referee. The pressure that's being placed on his shoulder. Here's Miguel Almiron preparing to take this first corner kick for Paraguay. In swinging punched high. The attack's still alive. Alonso preparing to launch this towards goal. Nothing to really challenge the goalkeeper, who launches the ball forward quickly. And here comes Mbappe. Huge chance, but he just takes his time. A touch too long. They want a handball. They think that he controlled the ball with his arm. The ball is taken quickly. France trying to catch out the Paraguay backline.
He missed
into
another
the side netting. Well, it was just absolute chaos ahead of that corner being taken. They were pleading ever so desperately. Caceres, I felt like Paraguay deserved something here. Let's take a look back.
Yeah, and it goes all the way back. Mike Magnon.
That's the hand.
As he hits the side volley into space, that allows the defender Caceres to come all the way across and get a toe poke before Kylian Mbappe can get his shot off. And in the midst of trying to argue that it should be a goal kick instead of a corner, France once again quickly takes it. No intent whatsoever to injure, but bodies going in opposite directions, and unfortunately the goalkeeper takes the brunt of not only the challenge from his own defender but also from the attacking player.
Well, they're still pleading their case. The Paraguayan players who know that that should have been a goal kick rather than a corner. And still receiving treatment, Orlando Hill.
Well, the distribution, the recognition gets in amongst the trees. Side volley from that distance. He's got the accuracy up and over the top. Mbappe, the first ball comes through. And that's the initial argument, that the ball came up and struck his right arm, right here. As he comes down, it looked like it more off his shoulder. It allows the defender the recovery time with that second bounce. Mbappe can't get his shot off, and the defender gets an important intervention touch.
Well, a touch of the dark arts and a wry smile on the face of Kylian Mbappe. So now back to his feet, Orlando Hill. A player of the match performance against Germany with the saves he made in the penalty shootout. A story that has really captured the nation and eyes around the globe. His desire to keep playing while funding the expenses for the treatment of his young child who was born prematurely, selling off some of his old kit, and some of that kit will be returned to him after that story has been shared far and wide.
Well, he's been so impressive throughout the course of the group stage, and in particular the performance against Germany, so much so there's been heavy talk on social media about a potential £7 million move to Torino. No doubt the interest will continue to ramp up as the continued performances are put in.
Corning. Oh, and tipped over. Another big moment for Orlando Hill.
Oh,
And once again, France over so incredibly quickly to take this corner. But great reaction from the man between the sticks of Paraguay.
Yeah, part of the tactics for Alonso to close down space. For Kone, the shot, you can see it tailing away, corkscrewing, comes across, right hand over his body. And then Junior Alonso, recognizing that France is trying to take the quick corner, he steps in.
The ball fizzed in. And they are so quick to try and take every single corner, aren't they, France, now? And just almost keeping the ball in play, Michael Olise.
And to your point, Ellen, I think that was the tactical move right there from Junior Alonso on that last corner on the near side from France. Paraguay has started to pick up how to at least negate the ability of France to play quickly. And that's simply stepping in within that 10 yards, drawing the attention of the AR, and him forcing to use his flag to indicate to the referee that a player has encroached space.
Well, the temperature, despite the shade across the stadium, has barely dropped at all. 36 degrees Celsius. And that has played a huge role, of course, in this game. But here is Olise. All being passed around. Anyone take it on, it will go out for another corner. Dembele will take it. Over comes Kylian Mbappe as well. Sale is the first line of defence alongside with Julio Enciso for Paraguay. Dembele. The curl on the ball, but straight into the arms of the keeper.
So Paraguay has certainly found a solution in the first half, and now the start to this second half, as we're about 12 minutes in, as France looks to play as quickly as possible after corners are earned. Paraguay is just simply stepping into the space. And that's forcing the frustration and the arm waving from France to get the attention of the referee.
I'm expecting a change shortly for Paraguay. Maybe the end of the road for Omar Alderete, who's such a big boost to have him back in the squad for Paraguay, the centre half. Here's Dembele. Gomez. Well, they've certainly seen more of the ball, Paraguay, in this second half so far. And the ball carelessly given away to
Come on, come on.
Julio Enciso chasing. Closely watched by Kunde. The ball had gone out of play.
We must defend this, right?
And, well, you can see the reason for the change is as Canale prepares to come onto the pitch. It's Alderete, who was a pre-match doubt for this game, the Sunderland defender, owing to a knee injury.
Well, the shot from distance for Kone, you see it curl and buckles away. He's keeping on France. He's got just that sight line for that upper left-hand side. This is a fantastic save. Very technical from the goalkeeper, gets his burst. And as he comes off that left foot, he comes across window wiper and he pushes fingertips up and over with that extension of his right arm just to give himself a couple more inches.
So coming off with a grimace on his face is Omar Alderete. And on comes Canale. Scored in the shootout over Germany.
Oh, he had the decisive penalty, and a player that previous to that 120-minute performance against Germany had only played 6 minutes in the tournament. So he'll be prepared, ready, probably a little bit frustrated that he wasn't in the starting 11 from the opening whistle.
Yeah, that clash with Germany was his first start of the tournament. It's good from Diego Gomez. Ball quickly won back.
Bro, that's a free kick.
No foul given there. Barcola. Still going. And he's still going. Oh, that's great defending from Paraguay. And you can see what that means. So Juan Jose Caceres, who
Did he
rolls at the
scream
crowd.
on Barcola?
They are getting a little bit more end-to-end now, within the realms, of course, of this game.
Well, I think at times we go back years ago with Chiellini and Bonucci, and every single defensive stop for the Italian defenders were celebratory moments. It was as if they were scoring goals on the defensive end with the way that they would find the emotion after defensive stops. We're certainly seeing that from the outside wingback. Juan Cáceres, the 26-year-old, has been doing a phenomenal job. Even when he's beat, Alon, he's doing a marvelous job of keeping touch tight and just trying to offset with a slight little delicate push at times.
There's the shot, and it's high and looping once again. And Barcola, who's quick to nestle his head into the chest of his teammates, knows he needs to do better. And will we see changes coming soon for, well, Paraguay potentially first, as he signals that it's time to come off, and that will be a huge hit. Julio Enciso has been the big creative force alongside Miguel Almiron in this game.
Well, he only outlasted 57 minutes against Germany, and there was fatigue concerns, there were injury concerns. Caballero, who came on and played 35 minutes against Germany, will get that opportunity.
So on comes Gustavo Caballero. Spent last season on loan at Portsmouth in the Championship from Santos, and, well, not a surprise to see this change. Somewhat maybe an idea that he would have hoped that attempt would have kept him on the pitch for a little bit longer if it would have nestled. But it is Bradley Barcola who makes way for Desiree Doué.
Well, two players interchangeable for both club and country. And whether it's success or lack of clinical finishing, still a huge asset for Didier Deschamps to be able to turn to at this stage of the match.
Yeah, he was asked about the atmosphere in the group, and he said that he tries to stay out of it as much as possible. And of course, Desiree Doué was asked about the relationship that he has with Bradley Barcola, of course, so intense. Those two being, as you rightly say, teammates for Paris Saint-Germain, playing in the same position and fighting for that spot on the wing. And he says he knows what his role is. Everyone in the squad, whether they're the players who are starting or coming on as substitutes, they know their role and they know how to make the best of it. There's a quick touch from Elise. Back and run in the way of Luca Dean. Can he keep the ball in play? Just about does. Doué doesn't get there, and it will go out for a throw on the far side.
Well, I can't imagine that Paraguay manager Gustavo Alfaro was thinking about his first two changes being injury changes within the first 15 minutes of the start of the second half. Right now, you're usually thinking about fresh legs and a potential upgrade based on the way that they started tactically, and instead you're forced to swap a center back and forced to swap a striker maybe earlier than expected. So keep an eye on the chess match and the tactical acumen of the manager and how important his next set of substitutions are going to be for Paraguay.
Well, they have such depth of talent, don't they, France? And that's evident considering the man who just saw the ball fizz past him, Ousmane Dembele. Wasn't really talked about for the first couple of games, was he, before that hat-trick? Cementing, of course, his place in the standings of this World Cup and the battle for the Golden Boots, which is being led by Messi, just one ahead of Kylian Mbappe. Can Desiree Doué do here? So slick on his feet, keeps skipping, goes down. Well, he's signalled. The referee says play on. He wants to get back to his feet quickly here because the ball's at the boot of Michael Elise. We know what he can do. Dembele tries to feed it, but
They
the
can do
door was
nothing.
quickly
Police
closed by
is
Paraguay.
shit.
And that's really where they've been
Dembele is
elite, this
shit.
back line.
Mbappe
Shuts
is
almost
shit.
everything down. Can they stop this?
Look at him.
It is a ball that doesn't require stopping from
Look at his
Kylian
shot.
Mbappe because it is into the crowd.
Desiree Doué, as he comes across Cubas, the Vancouver Whitecaps midfielder, gets a big old chunk of him. And Tantashев, the referee, he showed the early yellow card to Bradley Barkle on the 20th minute for his challenge on Caceres in front of the bench. This time, he's got a perfect angle, a perfect referee view, and instead doesn't show a yellow card. More importantly, doesn't even blow the whistle.
Well, you can see the frustration there of Orlando Hill, who sent the goal kick long and who didn't have the same runner that he's been used to for the first 60 minutes of this game in Julio Enciso.
Well, and Caballero is going to be more of a big focal point number 9 type of player, meaning that you want to play into his body. You want to believe that he can battle against Upamecano and Saliba in terms of alleviating the pressure once Paraguay does indeed get back on the ball, instead of for Enciso playing into space and allowing him to use that athleticism to open up the legs and cause these defenders problems. This is more of an ideal matchup for these two center backs.
He's been trying to thread the ball through, hasn't he? Dembele on a handful of occasions, and it hasn't yet paid off. Here's Desiree Doué once again. Keeps going, it's Desiree Doué, that's a great run. He goes down, the appeals are there from the French fans, nothing is given. And now they have to hold off the attack from Miguel Almiron, who is chasing and chasing and chasing, but a firm arm from Saliba. You see him take the ball up to the corner, and now, well, that's taken it out of Miguel Almiron. That sprint out of his own half and bearing down towards goal. It was a strong hand from William Saliba, and, well, VAR are having a look.
Well, for Desiree Doué, as he goes through, you can see the initial touch. And as Diego Gomez comes through, he certainly gets a big piece of Doué right there. He leaves the leg out. Referee allows the play to continue. He waves off the penalty shout. Doué goes to ground. For me, that's a penalty. But instead, in transition moments going in the opposite direction, now there's concern for Miguel Almiron as he immediately reached for that left hamstring. And part of the game for William Saliba, something that's not often acknowledged, he's got a ton of pace and athleticism.
Yeah, sorry, Brian. Here we go. This is the first time that the crowd has been alerted to the penalty check, and he is going over to the screen. Well, the appeals were so loud from France, the players, the bench, and the fans. And have the appeals been heard down in Dallas?
Oh, it's very clear and very evident. You don't need too many looks at it to see where the contact is. And for Diego Gomez, as he leaves out that left leg, he's not getting a touch on the ball. And as Desiree Doué walks the high line and the high wire, now it seems very clear and evident what the referee's going to decide.
After the off-field review, number 8 of defender tripped attacker player inside the penalty area. Decision is penalty.
So the decision is penalty. France's first penalty of this tournament. And here is the incident that has led to it.
Well, it's the intelligence, the skill, the athleticism, and just pure technical ability of Desiree Doué to go down and beat 4 defenders, including the man that fouled him, Gomez. Gustavo Alfaro, he thought it was a dive. The referee himself allowed the play to continue in a transition moment until the intervention of VAR. Juan Lora sent him over to the monitor.
Well, it has been such an attritional battle so far between Paraguay and France, and you can see, well, a crowd of Paraguay players stood around Ousmane Dembele.
Well, you wonder if Ousmane Dembele is deflecting who's really going to take this penalty. He's in the midst and the havoc right now of Paraguay trying to do everything to upset the opportunity for France to take this penalty. But you wonder if Kylian Mbappe is slowly going to mosey over And right there, it should be a yellow card for Gustavo Velasquez as he's trying to chunk up the penalty spot.
Yeah, no surprise to see the ball exchange hands, and it will be Kylian Mbappe who has a golden opportunity to draw back level with Messi at the top of the standings for the golden boot of the tournament so far. The last penalties Mbappe took in a World Cup were in the final against Argentina. 2 in the game, 1 in the shootout. And this to give France the lead in the last 16 against Paraguay. Well, Miguel Alon was pointing to the spot. He's not happy with where the ball has been placed. And there is more now with these distraction techniques as there's a puff of the chest from Kylian Mbappe. 10 goals he has in the World Cup knockout rounds. It's Mbappe who steps up and rolls the ball into the back of the net. Was it ever in doubt? France's 150th goal at a World Cup. From the spot, from Kylian Mbappe. His 7th goal of the tournament so far, and now France have the lead.
Well, the deception was Ousmane Dembele standing over the penalty spot and just trying to deflect the moment that Kylian Mbappe, ball in hand, puts it down, sends the goalkeeper in the opposite direction, and gives France the lead in the 70th minute here in Philadelphia.
An anniversary goal for France. Just one behind Messi's overall record total of 20 goals. 19 in 19 World Cup appearances. And those French fans will continue to make the noise as they're scattered around the stadium, groups of them. And the changes come for Paraguay with Mauricio making his way into the action. It's Miguel Alon who makes way.
Well, the player we expected to see, Avalos, from the opening whistle, but with the changed tactics, he started on the bench. Mauricio replaces Diego Gomez and Miguel Almiron, who cramped up in that left hamstring. He reached for it immediately after the initial bypass of the referee not to point to the spot for Desiree Doué going to ground. He vacates in these final 18 minutes or so.
And the ball guided back into the hands Mike Magnon. Well, how will that goal now change the lay of the land in this game, Brian? Because it is Paraguay who, after sitting so low, now have to chase the game.
That's it. You just nailed it. And again, another heavy challenge. This time it was Cubas going through Adrien Rabiot as he let the ball off that exquisite wand of a left foot that he has. It opens up the game. They're going to have to be less pragmatic. They're going to have to be more aggressive. They're going to have to take more chances, which obviously plays into everything that France does well.
Yeah, and the heat has played into everything. Every role of this game so far, and we've just seen a collision as the players are making their way off the pitch. It's now a circle around Kylian Mbappe as we break for the hydration stop in this second half.
Play for the Ultras? Game over.
Superior is worth playing for. Michelob Ultra Zero.
And also,
Canada isn't just pretty. It's powerful. And our government has a plan to unlock that power. As the world races towards clean energy, Canada's government will use our natural advantage to build world-class energy projects that bring down costs, create thousands of new jobs, and lower emissions. We'll build a cleaner future in a way that only Canada can. A message from the Government of Canada.
If I eat poulet rouge every day and change like one topping each time, how long would it take to taste everything? Centuries?
Greatness doesn't happen overnight. It happens every morning. Nutrition and fuel to help start whatever's next. Quaker, official sponsor of FIFA World Cup 26.
Because now that sense of urgency with the final whistle closing in. We talked about momentum, we talked about belief, we talked about talent and passion. And the idea that from the bigger conversation, they aren't necessarily supposed to be here. But they weren't necessarily supposed to be facing Germany, and yet they walked away after 120 minutes, drawn level 1-1, winning at penalties 4-3 in the round of 32.
Yeah, well, that is a good point you make, and it was a point that ended up with all the criticism faced the way of Alfaro, who spoke up and said that he did receive a fair bit of negativity after they finished third